Hey Doc, in this video, we're going to focus on the leadership component of the four concepts, or the four areas that this program benefits the practice. First of all, us, as the leader of the practice, the leader of the men and women, whether it's the staff or the people that come to you for help. We need to get real crystal clear on what our founding principles are, what our core values are. They go by different names. I just like founding principles. So what's the purpose? How to deconstruct why this is so important to me, why this is so important to you. Figure out what your founding principles are. You may find that your founding principles are the exact same as mine, and that's fine, right? You're just skipping a couple steps because I already did the work for you. You may find that you want to add an extra word or two, or maybe take out one principle, or maybe add one in. Whatever you want, right? I would suggest that you start off just using the program as it is, so you can get it going faster with less effort, less thinking, less work to be done. And then maybe the second time you run the program, you could tweak it and make it your own if you want. You could customize it. In my why video, I'm going to go over the words and definitions of my founding principles so you can kind of see the why, the purpose, the meaning behind why I chose the words I did and why I might have left some words or concepts out. I think it's very important for any business, any leader to have a clarity of vision, one that's easily articulated. It's consistent in one's own head. It's consistently articulated to members of the team. So therein lies picking your founding principles, giving them the right words that mean the most to you, and then owning it. So it trickles down to the team and the patient base and leads to future referrals. So I'm a big believer in picking the right words because words have tremendous power, right? Especially when you attach the right meaning to them. So think about the words that you're using to define your core principles and own meaning behind those words. That's going to give it the sauce. That's going to give it the power. That's going to make everything work. And then it's transferring, because you have to have that. You have to have that value, that perceived value, that understanding, that excitement, enthusiasm behind every word in every founding principle, so you can transfer that to people. You got to transfer it to your staff first and foremost. And they have to have that same understanding, value, excitement, enthusiasm, so they can transfer it to somebody else. And it does take repetition. But when you make it simple and stay consistent with it, that's how you condition yourself, your team, and patients to refer, stay in love with chiropractic, and share the love of chiropractic. Suggestions. Own it, own it, own it with certainty. Go over it again and again and again. I nailed this into my head to where I can repeat them cold and fast and consistent. I can go backwards and forwards. I recommend you do the same thing. You don't want to hum and ha about this, especially when you're leading your staff and saying, this is what we believe in. This is the founding principle of the practice. This is what we do. This is what we offer. It has to be said with consistency, authority, and enthusiasm. And you can't waver at all. So you have to own it yourself. So memorize it like crazy, like it's your own phone number or your home address. You don't have to think. It just comes out of you. Setting the tone for how serious this stuff is, the founding principles. When you're integrating this program into your practice, we're setting the tone for why this is important, why we have to do this, what happens if we don't do this. So your staff knows that this is not just some, oh, he or she's kind of getting crazy, this time of the year and whatever. I'm always going to be crazy about this because it's that important to us. So I expect you to be crazy about it too, right? If you set the tone right and set your expectations right, your staff will understand this, will respect it, and will benefit from it immensely. But it all comes back to you. It all comes back to your excitement, your commitment, and your enthusiasm. So build that up as much as possible when you are talking about your founding principles, why you believe in them, why they must exist, and why everybody else must adhere to them and know them like they are their own phone number as well. Okay? So that's it on leadership. Let's move on to the next video. All right, Doc, let's talk about the team building component. Kind of deconstruct the purpose and the why behind it all, and then give you some suggestions. So only 2 slides yet again. We need to be closing the gap between where we are as the leader and where our teammates are. Whether you have 1, 2, or 20, it doesn't matter. We need them to be well enlisted, well educated, and very congruent in line with what we're doing here. So we need to close the gap between what we know and what we believe in, how we would articulate it, and theirs. I found that a doc could be extremely enthusiastic, a great communicator, but their office manager or their other CAs are way behind them in their abilities. That's why I wanted to shrink this program down into, again, only 4 founding principles. I tell my staff, guys, I don't need you to memorize a vast array of stuff. I just need you to memorize 4 things. Please, you have to know these things in order to stay on the team, right? So you have to know it like your phone number. That closes the gap between how I communicate chiropractic and how they communicate chiropractic. How I understand chiropractic on a very simple but powerful level, and how they understand it on the same simple, powerful level. So you got to close that gap as much as possible with everybody on your team. This program will do that for you if you commit to it. Can they sell what you are serving? We serve chiropractic and all the benefits that come with chiropractic care, right? But can your staff sell chiropractic the same way you do? This is why we're trying to create some consistency in the practice in terms of what are we selling, right? Just like menu items on, or items on a menu, right? Food dishes on a menu in a restaurant. If you go to work at the restaurant, you have to memorize the dishes on the menu. You have to be able to explain them. If you look in many chiropractic offices, they can't describe a lot of what the chiropractic office is selling or represents or stands for, right? So we need to let the staff know, just if like you were coming to me to be hired in my restaurant, you have to know what's on the menu. You have to memorize it like your phone number, right? In order to be on this team. So that's very important. And you'll notice that when you do that, their ability goes up, and so does the practice. It just rises with the tide there, so to speak. Team culture, consistency and accountability. We have to be consistent about this ourselves. So every Monday morning huddle, I bring this up and say, I'm not letting this go. I'm too committed to this to just go about business as usual, right? I ask people in a public forum, pop quiz, several other people standing around, tell me what a subluxation is. And a lot of times, at least when you're starting this program, they're going to falter. They're going to get nervous, right? Because they're just learning it. They don't know it like it's their phone number yet. But because it's in a public setting and they know that the team culture is expecting everybody to know it, they will be forced, right, through their environment to learn it, to know it, and to own it to where they can recite it as if it were their own phone number. So you keep doing it again and again and again until you get to that level. Now, when I run this program in the office also, by the way, 4 to 8 weeks, I don't expect my staff to memorize it and know everything in that time. I've been working on this for several weeks prior to running in the office. And I recommend that you constantly quiz your staff on what is an adjustment, what is health, what is this founding principle, what is that founding principle, and then even go past that. Well, great, you recited it, A+, perfect, well done, but what does it mean to you, right? How could you have a conversation around it? Push them to that level as well, right? They deserve to be pushed to that level so they can own it for themselves as an individual, but you deserve to have them at that level as well so they can be that kind of an asset to your practice. But it all starts with us. We have to be very consistent in our focus and our effort and how we engage with our patients, right? Or engage with our staff and train them. And we have to hold them all accountable to each other, right? In the cause. Some suggestions, okay? First of all, you have 9 downloads. You have stuff that's more for staff and stuff that's more for the patient base. You have, I think it's called office posting. That's just the basic definition. You'll see that I even went down to my founding principles and picked the letters or picked the words, but I rearranged the words on a piece of paper in such a way that the mind would be able to read them and understand them and memorize them and then regurgitate them. So I wrote them in the way that I would want them to speak them. That's how analytical I am and how committed I was to this program. So if you like the words that I choose in the founding principles, I would say stick with it, because psychologically I used a lot of stuff here to make it more effective, helping them